true. Hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Rundown. It's same usual guys. They're not here, so you have the actual A team that's doing this post game because that's who we are. I'm Doug. Marty's with me.
Hello, Doug.
Marty, how you doing tonight?
Well, I was doing better. I honestly was even doing better about 20 minutes ago when the Knicks cut it to 6.
Mm-hmm.
You know, not great at the moment.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting, and we're going to get to this game because it's both. We've seen it, right? It's like we've both seen this, so we're used to it, but it's also puzzling all at the same time. But before we get to it, of course, you go to Strict Land. That's the flagship home where you see all of us at the Strickland. You can follow us on YouTube where you are right now. You can follow us on Blue Sky, and that's I believe at I forget how the Blue Sky stuff works, but just type in the Strickland.
Yeah,
then you have
I don't know.
I think
it's at the Strickland.bsky.
Yeah, that's what I think it is. And then there's the at the Strickland on Instagram, all that good stuff. And then follow us on Patreon. You get the $6 tier. You get takes from obvious bozos with me. You maybe will get a mailbag at some point. Then you also get the Friday episodes of Pod Strickland, all that good stuff. But you know what? You all know it. You all know where to find us and everything. But let's decompress what's going on. The Indiana Pacers win 130-121 in game 4, and of course a must-win game for the Knicks. And Marty, you would think they would learn something from game 3, right? You would think that something would be learned where they're like, oh, if we play defense against Indiana, we have a much better chance of winning the game. We shouldn't let them get into offense and let them score. And yet here in game 4, they score 130, and it felt like nothing was learned. Like absolutely nothing was learned from game 3. And it was almost like, oh, we found something? Nah, let's not even do it. Let's not even do it.
I mean, I'm going to do a lot of complaining about Tim, so I'll give him a small amount of props and say he played Wright and Shamet again today. They played well.
He did
on Sunday, and he played them again today, which I would say was not a given with him. He absolutely could have, and he fucking tried to just play Josh Hart and only Josh Hart. And I mean, he did do that, but he didn't play Payne. He didn't go back to Payne when things were going poorly, which he loves to lean on his guys when things aren't going well. Payne stayed glued to the bench. Wright and Shamet played. Shamet maybe played too much, but that's a separate issue. So he at least kept the rotation expanded. I mean, he played 10 guys today because Precious played 2 minutes in the first quarter since Mitch was in foul trouble, since Cat was in foul trouble, and Mitch had to sit. But really he played 9 guys. Precious only played those 2 minutes because it was a weird situation. But he just didn't. The lineups that were good on Sunday, he didn't use them again.
No,
I just don't understand.
He just didn't use them.
Yeah, and I think the reason is I can't remember. I want to say Schwinn said this in game chat, but I don't want to give him any credit, so I'm going to pretend it wasn't Schwinn.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, he the reason he didn't is because he didn't ever use those lineups in the regular season, and so he didn't trust them when things weren't going well. To in game 3, it was like, fuck it, series is over. Might as well just throw shit at the wall and see what works. And some of it worked, right? But and again, he realized those players were working because he realized that Wright and Shamet were playing well, but he didn't use them in the same lineup. I mean, he didn't have. I just don't understand. The one thing that he couldn't do on Sunday that you would think he would have wanted to was play Deuce more because Deuce was in foul trouble in the first half,
and he didn't do it.
He played Deuce less.
Yeah, you played him less.
You have the box score up. I don't have it up. How many minutes did Deuce play?
Deuce played 14 and a half minutes.
That's embarrassing. What are we doing here? It's
absolutely insane.
So, sorry, game chat's moving so fast. I even with slowdown mode on, I can't.
Slow down, baby.
I don't remember who said this, but somebody pointed out to me that Deuce had a bloody nose. So it's possible that he didn't play as much in the first half because his nose was bloody. But then he
what?
I don't know. He could have had a bloody nose and like had to get it cleaned up in the bathroom and had to miss 10 minutes of the game. Like that's not impossible.
Sure, but that seems.
But in the second half, there's no excuse. He was sitting there.
Yeah.
You saw him on the bench the whole time. I don't remember if he was on the bench in the first half, so I can't say whether or not he was available for the rest of the first half. But even putting that aside, so he played 7 minutes each half because I know I pointed out at halftime that Deuce only played 7 minutes. So, okay, you want to say those 7 minutes were because let's pretend that let's just assume that the bloody nose was the reason that he couldn't play more minutes in the first half. Why isn't he playing more than 7 minutes in the second half? You saw him there on the bench the whole time. I just don't. The whole time. I don't. It's beyond me. This is not even really what I intend to talk about first. There's an obvious.
I know, but it's just like
there's an obvious thing we need to talk about, and we will talk about it. I promise, guys. But I just don't like Deuce. Deuce has been, frankly, probably the next best all-around player this series.
Which is bizarre to consider because of how he's made some memorable these are really bad offensive moments too.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Which is really funny
in the Celtics series. He wasn't great in the Pistons series. He was mostly awful in the Celtics series until he picked it up the last few games, but he was pretty bad in the Pistons series and then a lot of the Celtics series. But this series he's played well, which is not surprising because the Pistons have players that are better suited for him to guard. And they have a horrible defense, so he can score. I mean, he can't create for himself. So when, the Pistons and Celtics have very good defenses, it's not totally surprising that Deuce isn't doing much. But I just don't get it. I don't know what Tibbs, he doesn't normally not play Deuce, so I don't know what he was seeing tonight.
So I'm looking at the minutes right now. So Mitch played just under 19. So I think I have some sort of theory, is ultimately just popped into my head right now. Mitch is basically stamina is cooked.
Oh, he definitely is. You can see,
right? Mitch is cooked, so they're like, shit, we need rebounding, so Josh has to play. And it's almost like,
but that doesn't mean Deuce. You can play Deuce and Josh together,
right? It's just it's one of those things where it's just weird. I think for him. Kind of connecting dots for at least Tibbs is he's not looking at things straight away where it's well, Mitch can't play anymore, so we need the rebounding. So Josh has to play whether or not Josh is playing like a crazy person. It's irrelevant because you just need his pressure off the rebounds. Right. But then it's at the expense of Deuce for no apparent reason. And it's just weird to me. It's just kind of weird just to kind of how everything's not balanced in any sort of way.
I just don't understand. Tibbs is searching clearly, but
yes,
in game 3, he was searching again, he was trying shit to see what would work because Knicks are down 20. No team has ever come back from 3-0 in an NBA series. So you go down 3-0, the series is over, right? I mean, look, technically speaking, this series is not over. Teams have come back from 3-1.
13 teams have come back from 3-1.
Yeah, but it's not 0. 13 teams have come back from 3-1. Mm-hmm. The Knicks do have, this is not necessarily a boom, but the Knicks do have 2 home games left if they get to game 7.
Crazy to consider.
Yeah. They've actually played better on the road, so I don't know that I would want 2 home games, but obviously, normally you want home games. So the fact they don't have home court advantage because they have to win all 3 games, but they have home court advantage. They have more home games left than road games. Again, that's not necessarily a good thing. But I don't know how you can be confident that they might win game 5. They're not even the fact is the Pacers have never blown them out, right? Every one of these games has been close. This was the one that was closest to a not close game. And it was still, you had to get to 40 seconds left before the game really ended, So I don't doubt that they'll be in it again on Thursday, unless they're just mentally checked out, which would be embarrassing because the season's over if they lose on
literally.
True. So that would be like pretty embarrassing. And they've never done that before. Like they've never mentally checked out. I think on Pod Strickland today, Schwinn and Stacey were talking about how like you could maybe say in games 3 and 5 of the Celtics series they checked out a little bit, but that's a different situation, obviously, because they're in the driver's seat in both those games of the series. So not good, but like you understand if they're like they take their foot off the gas a little bit, like it's somewhat more excusable. But they can't. I don't doubt that I'm not saying they'll win on Thursday, but I don't doubt they're going to come out and play hard. The question is just like to transition to what we actually need to talk about: is Tibbs going to play Josh Hart 40 minutes if he plays like shit again?
It's crazy. Just for people to understand, Josh has like the craziest stat line here, right? Because he is 12 and 11, right? So he gets 12 points, 11 rebounds. He has not zero. He has only 1 assist, which was the first, that when he first got in the game, where everything looked super promising. Those first couple possessions with Josh Hart, I was like, oh shit, we're getting energy. Josh Hart, it's going to be wonderful. And then it transformed into 6 fouls and 5 turnovers, like absolute disaster. And we're not talking like ticky tacky fouls he picked up along the way. It's like those really bad fouls where like Benedict Mathurin's already beat you. Don't put your hand on his hip and push him, right? Like it's fouls like that. It's don't.
But Josh, hit the guy. He always does that shit when he is playing out of control. This is, and I'm sure you're going to agree with me on this. Like this is where, obviously, yes, Josh Hart has to play less stupid, right? But of course, when he's played stupid for 15 straight minutes, at some point the blame switches to the coach for not putting him on the bench. Like. He has control over rotations. He can't say, Josh, time sit. And Josh says, fuck you. I let you bench me. I'm going back out there. And Tim says, you're right. Like, that's not how it works. Yeah. No.
It's wild to see because he has terrible live ball turnovers. Like, I wouldn't mind some of his turnovers if they were like, a missed pass out of bounds in transition. Those are kind of relatively fine.
Right, but you can't let the Pacers get in transition like that.
Right, like you can't do that. So if you're Josh Hart, who's like, I'm going to pass it, get a live ball turnover, and have the Pacers get in transition where they absolutely, I think they had 21, 22, something like that. I'll double check, but they had at least 20.
I thought it was
fast break.
Yeah, but
like it could have been.
It's too many. Yeah,
it's too many. It's like those type of turnovers are absolutely like you can't make them. And Josh Hart is making those terrible live bad pass turnovers, and it's like you gotta bench him. Like you can't afford to do that, and that's why it's like play McBride, right? Like play McBride. If you're that desperate for rebounding, play Precious Achiuwa then, right? You know what I mean? Like if you're that,
they look good in his minutes. It was just 2 minutes, but they
were fine. They didn't do anything. They didn't do anything terrible.
Like, you can do this stuff that we were like, you can't do this against the Celtics or the Pistons. They actually can do it against the Pacers. They're a totally different team.
Mm-hmm.
The Celtics and Pistons are not similar, but I don't know if I'm going to make sense. So, make me re-explain what I'm not doing this.
We'll hash this out.
Like, they're not similar teams, obviously. First of all, the Celtics are, like, way better than the Pistons. So, like, this is not even...
Significantly.
Right. They're not even in the same stratosphere. However, I think you have to play them the same way, oddly enough. Like, that you have to defend them similarly, I should say.
Okay.
With the same type of people, not with the same schemes, but with it, like you couldn't put pressure out there against the Pistons. You couldn't put pressure out there against the Celtics because they're both too big, right?
Right.
The Pacers are not big. Like I know they have Turner.
I see what you're saying.
Yeah, it took me a while to get there because it was really not formed in my head. But
because you need like the wing skill set to defend the Pistons and the Celtics, and Precious just isn't a wing. Precious is just like an undersized, like super athletic power forward who's really a center, like a backup center.
Right.
And that works against the Pistons because like the Pistons are soft, right? They're a soft team.
Yeah.
Like Tony Bradley's their big, like Tony Bradley is like their big bad guy off the bench.
He's like every time Mitch is going off, Rick Carlisle runs to Tony Bradley, who sticks.
It's that type, of shit. Like they're so desperate just to throw any semi-strong person on Mitch that they're like tanking their lineup.
But you can play Precious is the point, right? You can actually play. Yeah.
Just play him a little bit.
Maybe it doesn't work, but you're down 3-1.
Yeah, exactly. You're down 3-1.
Yeah.
Instead, you treated this like a game in January, heading into the All-Star break. And you're just like,
Yeah.
Josh will figure it out. And it's like,
but the thing is, he didn't. They just he didn't. This goes back to what Prez said the other day, right? Which is like he sped run all his experimenting during Game 3.
Yeah.
Or speed ran. I guess the past tense of speed run is normally speed ran. You know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah.
But why the Knicks had the third seed locked in? We've talked about this. The Knicks had the third seed locked in for like a straight month at the end of the season, right?
Mm-hmm.
Basically, I know the Pacers came within one game, but basically they were locked into 3 for a long time. Why is he not trying this stuff in case it becomes necessary in the playoffs?
You have to,
because if he had, he probably would have played those when those lineups worked. And I'm not saying that means you have to play those lineups before Game 3, right? I get why he relied in games 1 and 2 on his guys, and he recognized that Payne wasn't working. He recognized that the starting lineup wasn't working, and look, Game 1 was the flukiest of all flukes. So you even could kind of not have blamed him if he said, I'm going to yes, we're down 2-0, but I can treat it like it's 1-1 because that was just the way we played. We should,
right.
But he didn't. And I actually think that was great that he didn't treat it that way. He was like, well, I don't know this is the thought process, but we lost Game 1. Doesn't matter how we lost it. We are down 2-0. So we have to win this game. But the point is, if he had tried those lineups in the regular season, he would have gone to them in Game 3 knowing they might work. Then when he saw they worked, he would know it was repeatable because he'd already done it in the regular season, right? And instead, he goes, frankly, understandably, he goes, I have no idea if this is going to work again. And we have, and this game is close. I can't mess around. So he leaned on his preferred lineups, despite the fact that multiple of the guys in those lineups were having absolutely awful games. It wasn't just Hart. I mean, I feel like we actually do have to talk more about it, how bad Hart was, because people are going to want to break this down. But it wasn't just Hart. It was Bridges, and honestly, Towns was not great. He wasn't that bad, but he wasn't great. Mitch, I think, is gassed, but he really didn't look that good. Anunoby was fine, although he did some stupid stuff. He had some really positive plays, but he did some dumb stuff. And frankly, Brunson has been pretty shitty this year.
It's really funny to consider about Brunson being shitty. He quietly had 31 points.
Yeah, but I don't care about
it's fun. It's just kind of funny to kind of. It's funny to consider that. I agree with you. He didn't play that well.
Yeah.
And it's
and I don't think he's played. I don't think he's played well all series. I know he scored 39 or whatever it was in Game 1, or 43 in Game 1, 43 in Game 1, and 35 in Game 2. Right?
Yeah.
I don't. I'm not going to say those were bad games. You can't say those are bad games, but.
No, he's doing those stupid fouls where it takes so much. He's doing a lot of dumb shit where it's you really can't be doing this.
Right.
You're producing at some level, but man, you cannot do this.
He's good. He scored 31. You said 31 points today.
Yeah, he scored 31.
You could say that he gave back almost all those in one way or another.
It's fair to say, yeah.
With turnovers, I just don't know what's going on with him. He's turning the ball over in ways you never. He's been on the team for 3 years now. I've never seen him do this before. He's just handing the ball to the Pacers constantly. It's crazy.
The turnovers just right here. You have Bridges with 3, Brunson with 3, Josh with 5.
I'm honestly shocked it's only 3 for Brunson. It felt like more, but he was doing.
Well, he also had 3 fouls, and the fouls can be that type of stuff too.
Yeah.
But it's just
kind
of crazy.
Fouls were the only. 2 of those fouls were really dumb fouls on his part. The third one was that one where Mathurin threw him to the ground, and they called the foul on Brunson because that was during the 2-minute stretch where the refs decided they weren't going to let the Knicks win, so they were just going to call a foul on everything they did.
That was. I really don't like doing this type of stuff because right.
The
only because we all know how why the team lost. It's really not them, but as just a fan, I'm watching the game. I'm watching the product. I see OG make this insane shot. I see OG make a great defensive play. And then all of a sudden now you're calling the contact
Just call
out
it
of
consistently. Like
nowhere.
yeah.
Like you just randomly started calling the fouls, and it's like that was going on all game.
They called 4 fouls on that one Pacers possession on the Knicks. Literally 4 fouls on one possession.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it was technically 3 possessions because the ball kept going out of. You know what I mean? Like the Pacers had the ball for one. Like the Knicks never got the ball in between. The Pacers technically, I guess, took the ball out 4 times, but they called 4 fouls on the Knicks, and none of them were fouls they called ever before then in the game. It's 4 minutes left in the fourth quarter. What are you doing?
I thought it was absolutely unhinged to have that happen.
It's almost like they begrudgingly overturned that Turner push on Cat, and we're like, all right, you can have that one, but now fuck you. You don't have any challenges left, and like fuck you for calling that on us.
And also that was, it was so blatantly Turner pushed them into like it was very blatant live. It was even more apparent on the replay.
Yeah, the replay,
and it's like, and I'm like, how are you missing that call in the first place?
Well, first of all, it was two things about that. It was so bad, that whole sequence, that you had Stan Van Gundy and Reggie Miller saying like, these aren't fouls. What are the refs doing?
Which was it was actually wild to hear.
Yeah.
Wild to hear.
Yeah.
I've never heard
Reggie Miller. Normally he stays quiet. Like Stan will occasionally. I mean, he's annoying about the next two, but he'll occasionally say like, "This is bullshit." But when he does that, Reggie Miller will just keep his mouth shut because he like doesn't want to talk positively about the Knicks, but also knows that Stan's right. But he actually was like, "No, I agree with you. This is horrible. What are they doing?" Like that's never happens. That's how bad it was.
Yeah, when Reggie's like, "No, you can't do. Like, you really can't do this." Like Reggie Miller was saying this.
Yeah,
like that's how bad it was, and it was worse too because even if you could challenge them, when you go back on those type of calls on the replay, we're like, "Well, those are clearly we had to make the call," and it's like. No, you didn't. You didn't. If you're going to, you better do it the entire game.
Right.
You didn't have to do this.
And here's the other thing. This didn't end up mattering because they didn't even use their final timeout. Stan Van Gundy said this too, but like having the rule be that if you have a successful second challenge, you lose a timeout anyway.
Yeah.
Why is that the rule? I know it's always been the rule since they added this second challenge, but like, why is that the rule? It makes no sense.
Yeah, you don't realize it until you need a moment like this to kind of like pop your ear and go, wait, no, that's dumb. That's really dumb.
The refs messed up. You had to fix their mistake.
Their call.
And you get punished for it.
Yeah.
Because you fixed their mistake twice. They're saying like, well, sorry, yes, the refs screwed up twice, but maybe you shouldn't have pointed that out. Now you have to like what? Though this is not relevant to our game, but like between that and the fouling up 3 rule that totally ruined the end of the Thunder Wolves game last night.
Yeah, exactly.
They need to change both those rules. That's just horrible.
They need to figure out listen, I don't think the NBA is in this weird place where they have this nice little term called marginal contact that they can rely on, whether they could just be like, well, it was a foul, but not really. And then you have these sort of like these little like technical things. And then the timing of when they happen, they always look so bad. And
I just don't know, who does this benefit? Like, and I really don't want to spend too much time on this because it's not relevant to our game, but like all the people last night who were saying, like, oh, well, actually, the Thunder executed that beautifully. That's good strategy. We should find that good entertainment. It's not good entertainment. I'm sorry. Like, it's not fun to watch. I don't care if the Thunder were executing it well. They were. They did a great job. It's not fun. And similarly, fucking a team over for having to fix the refs' mistakes. First of all, you should get challenges until you get one wrong. Two, like, if you keep getting them right, you should keep getting challenges. I agree.
That should. Yeah. I think that's the way it should be. Like, if you do a challenge, you fuck up. Of course, you're done. Right. You lose your challenging privileges.
I'm not saying
perfectly reasonable. But
what
if you
Carlisle
keep
did,
winning,
But
if you keep winning, like you can challenge until you're wrong.
That's
what it should be. Let's get to some of these comments.
Yeah, I know. I'm sorry, we're getting way off.
It's all good. John Leary, OG and Shamit, self-creation shots to start the fourth. Yeah, there are these like little decisions that are wild to me in this game that you can't do in a playoff game.
Yeah, so you have the thing that worked so well in game 3, right, was when Brunson on the bench, like we were all talking for the past 2 days about stagger Cat and Brunson. It worked perfectly. You're running the offense for Cat when Brunson on the bench. Obviously, you're running the offense through Brunson the rest of the time, whether Cat's on the floor or not. And then they're running the offense through OG and Landry Shamet. Like, I'm not even complaining about Shamet being on the floor, but why is he dribbling out, like, to take dribbling around for 5 seconds to take, what was that? Like, did he drive or take a step back 3? I don't even remember.
But, I don't even remember.
But you know what I'm talking about. Like that, yeah.
It's not a catch and shoot shot. Why is he doing anything other
why does he have the ball for more than 2 seconds? Like, either you get the ball and either you take it. Sure, if you have a wide open lane to the rim, obviously drive to the rim. But like, if you with him, like if you're not Jalen Brunson, or I'll say even, obviously Cat or even OG, then when you get the ball, you have to make a decision to either pass it or take a shot immediately. Like you shouldn't be dribbling around if you're Landry Shamet, or
you shouldn't be
if you're Josh Hart, or even really Deuce. I don't want to see Deuce dribbling around that much. Like he's get yourself in a good position, pass it or put it up. Don't dribble around like you're dumbass Halliburton for 10 seconds.
I agree. I just wanted to let Jared R know that we want you to know that you are seen. That's why we did our thing.
Yeah,
you are seen.
Let's say though, I think the Knicks didn't lose this game because of the refs. Like that, they were horrible. But I think we said our piece about the refs. They were really bad. We've got to move on. That's not.
Jared. I just want to let you know.
Yeah.
I feel you. Yeah. That's it. Yeah. I'm giving you that.
Yeah.
Now we're done. Kevin Pierce says, Hart was one stupid decision after another. Mikal played soft and didn't even make Hallie work at all on defense. Brunson just came in with the idea that he needed the carry when OG and Towns clearly had it.
I don't really agree with that last sentence, but
I don't necessarily agree. Look, Cat definitely has like the good numbers tonight, right? He was 24 and 12. Yeah. He had a +3, 7 from 9. He was super efficient. His defense wasn't good. Like Towns' defense was just.
And I don't think he totally had it on offense. Like he was good, but he wasn't dominant like he was on Sunday.
Yeah, and I also think it was really fun because I think he was only dominant on Sunday, just given just how Tibbs like accidentally stumbled into something.
Right.
Like that's what it was.
And he can do it. Obviously, he can do that. He has that in him. But I don't think.
So like,
go
ahead.
I was gonna say I don't actually even think that's true. Brunson was like totally out of the offense for the first 5 minutes. He was back in the game in the fourth quarter. He didn't take a shot until like he took 2 shots in the fourth before that layup in garbage time.
Oh yeah,
I think I read. Like I don't know that he tried to carry the offense. He probably didn't do enough, despite the fact that I thought he was bad tonight. He didn't do enough. I don't think.
Also, OG was 1 for 7 from 3, and he made that, and he only made that one.
He made that insane shot. Yeah.
But no, I'm with. I think just Hart with just terrible decision making, and Mikal. Yep, you kind of saw it like in game 3. I think we had a video on this right at the Strickland, or our boy Bailey did a whole thing.
Yeah, Bailey did it. Yeah,
like the Knicks actually playing close. They're never gonna do full court pressing, but like they played enough in game 3 where they were actually like forcing Pacers to kind of dribble the ball up the court. And did you see Mikal who's just kind of like, I'm by the 3-point line, just like I'll chill.
Well, he just sagged so far of Halliburton, and like, look, Halliburton will have games. He had one in game 3 where he will just decide he doesn't want to take any shots, and if he's having one of those games, sag off him, obviously, because all he's going to do is try to pass the ball. So like, be prepared to get in the lane, but in the passing lane. But tonight he was aggressive. What are you doing, giving him 3 feet of space every time?
Every single time.
More than 3 feet of space.
Yeah, he basically gave him a career like this. Like if you're like a Pacers fan, right? You're talking about like this is a Halliburton moment. Like Mikal Bridges gave Tyrese Halliburton like a game.
Yeah,
which is crazy. It's like you again. It's like you didn't learn from game 3. You didn't.
I have I'm like having obviously a little bit of trouble getting too mad at Mikal because he's won them multiple playoff games.
I agree. I'm just for tonight.
They got him to cover, like OG can't cover Halliburton. We learned that last year. Not directly because OG barely played in the Pacers series, but we learned it through the Maxey matchup last year, right? That like Halliburton's similar enough. OG can't guard Halliburton. So they got McHale. They got McHale for this kind of matchup, and he's been horrible. Like, what's he doing? I just don't even know. Who is he? What is his purpose on defense if he can't guard Halliburton? You need Delon Wright out there to guard Halliburton? The fuck is this?
The best guys who have been on Halliburton have been McBride and Delon Wright. And when the Knicks are truly focusing on the point of attack defense, and they have those guys in there, they've succeeded against the Pacers. We've seen even in their losses when the Knicks are actually doing well against Indiana, it's specifically they got one of those two guys at the point of attack. And when you take one of them out and you see that, they attack Brunson relentlessly, and they do a pretty good job of it too. They're attacking him relentlessly.
Yep.
So if McHale isn't completely locked in, like that, the Knicks defense completely crumbles. And you can also kind of see it too, where even though with the Mitch change, and Mitch does help, you need that point of attack. Like you really do need to play like Deuce McBride. Like it's almost non-negotiable. Like you kind of have to play him.
Yeah.
And you have to win defensively against the Pacers because they're not good in the half. They're really not good in the half court.
And the Knicks aren't going to outscore them. Like in a
they're not going to outscore them.
I mean, you saw it tonight. Tonight was a shootout, and the Knicks lost because they can't outscore the Pacers in a shootout.
It's insane that like it happened, but it's also like, I guess no, it is insane because we kept seeing this over and over again. The regular season, losses in the postseason, it's the same goddamn shit every single time.
Like it's funny because I was about to say I can't even really blame Tibbs for the defense stuff fully until you made the point about Deuce, because you're right.
He's there.
Fixing it would. That said, like yes, play Deuce, a lot of this gets fixed. That said, like we know Tibbs' defensive schemes. We learned through the Boston series, and like it's also there in this series. He's adapting his schemes defensively to what the other team is doing, and the players aren't executing. At some point, we have to say the players are not playing well. And like, I mean, OG. Part of the reason I had to change the starting lineup, as much as it was to like get Hart off the floor with the starters, is that OG can't guard Siakam, which makes no sense. What is he here for if he can't guard Pascal Siakam?
Yeah.
It's because he's trying to, excuse my French, measure his dick against Pascal the entire time. He's like,
pretty much
like we played together for years. I'm going to show you I'm better than you, bro. And like he's playing like an idiot. And so like he can't. Tibbs had to change the matchup because he couldn't. I guarantee if you gave Tibbs truth serum, he'd say part of the reason he changed the starting lineup is because he needed OG to shift up on the defensive spectrum to Neesmith.
Here's Siakam's stat line.
Yeah.
So he played 35 minutes. He was 11 for 21, 3 for 4 from 3, 5 of 6, 30 points, 5 rebounds, +9.
This guy's not this good.
he just I forget who mentioned it in the someone in the live in our Discord live chat. Again, go to patreon.com, get out of Discord, do the live game chat on the
miserable
on the slow mode. It's just like he's trying to, like, Pascal is big brothering him, and OG just has big time little brother energy. Like, just what are you doing? Stop being the little brother.
Yeah, I just don't like. It's embarrassing that they have to switch OG, who is an all defense caliber player. Like, you know, got the most.
Didn't he get on one of the all defensive teams?
He got the most votes for anyone who missed.
Okay.
So, you know, like if there was a third team all defense, he would have been the first guy on that list. Frankly, he should have been on like one of the all defense teams. He's good.
He probably should have been on the team, but anyway. Yeah. But like, that's what we're talking about.
He's good. Like he is of that caliber, right? And he can't. Pascal Siakam's good. I'm not trying to like say that he's bad. He's not this good. He's not like series MVP level good. And
he's not Jason Tatum good.
Right. And that's what he's playing like. He's not like, he's just never missing shots. He's getting like, he's making all these crazy shots constantly. He's just not feeling any pressure, because then you switch up the lineup. Now you have to put Cat on him, and like Cat can't guard Siakam. So like, you know, in some ways you could see the argument for why Tibbs doesn't want to put Deuce in the starting lineup, because then you go back to OG guarding Siakam. Siakam probably scores 50 points because OG can't guard him. And then, you know, I guess you have Deuce on Hallie. Hopefully, you probably still leave McHale on Hallie, but like you have hopefully Deuce on Hallie, and then you could put Brunson on Nembhard, which is fine, and Mikal on Nesmith. But like again, yes, that helps you on Hallie and Nesmith a ton. But then Siakam's just going to go off on OG. We have no proof that he won't just totally dominate him.
I could also see the argument with that logic, right? You go that and you follow it down. What if you just goad the Pacers into playing a half-court offense with trying to exploit that matchup? And you get them to like basically like
because the Knicks keep turning the ball over and letting the Pacers run in transition.
That's also true, right? That's kind of the thing, because I'm just like, I'm fine if it's going to be half-court Pascal just cooking, right? Because that, to me, that's not when the Pacers are out there.
No, you could say that you could live with that, but the problem is they're doing that and they're getting
doing everything else.
Points. Yeah, and also, you mentioned earlier that like they're not going to pick the Pacers up full court. The Pacers are picking the Knicks up full court
every single time.
The Knicks. The whole thing is the Knicks are better conditioned than any other team because Tibbs plays them all a ton of minutes, and it's true they are. Like they're definitely Brunson's getting tired because the Pacers are targeting him on every single defensive play. But part of the way they could avoid that is by having Mikal and OG pick up full court so that they can't easily get Brunson into sets early and into the action early in the shot clock like they're doing. And how many points, in, I don't know what to call it. It's not transition, obviously, but off makes, the Pacers are running out as if they're in transition and the Knicks are not getting back.
Yeah.
Like if you pick them up full court, like they could be doing, they're not going to be able to do that because like they're not going to get past Mikal and OG, who are much longer and fast enough to keep up with Hallie and Nesmith and Nembhard full court, So like, I just don't know. I think that's worth a shot. Like, I just don't agree that they can't do it because the Pacers, like, not just the Pacers did it to Brunson, the Celtics did it to Brunson, and the Pistons did it to Brunson. And it, frankly, has worked every time in different ways, but it has been working. So, like, why aren't we doing this to Halliburton?
Makes no sense. Jordan Bubb has Tibbs should be fired for the series because, yes, Tibbs outcoached Missoula, and the Knicks beat the Celtics with expectation for finals, and he was outcoached by a better coach with less talent. I don't think we should use the I know it sounds strange, but I don't think we should actually use the Celtics series as like legit, like any sort of like proof of concept that like Tibbs is doing. I know he did some good things defensively.
I think he honestly,
I do think he outcoached Missoula, but I think a lot of the more he outcoached them because Missoula and the Celtics feel very dead set on a style of basketball that really doesn't translate into like these short stints in playoffs, right? Because like if you're going to shoot half of your shots from three just because you're just chucking for points per shot value,
and they don't go in,
and they don't go in, like it's really bad. So I think that's part of it. I mean, Tibbs did outcoach him because of that. But
no, you're right. There's definitely part of it that Missoula coached a bad series, which lowered the bar for Tibbs to clear. But Tibbs cleared it pretty handily. I mean, he did. We've said this 100 times, but they were up 3. Tatum gets hurt, whatever. They were already up 3-1. That game was over.
I agree. It was over.
Like,
despite what
Celtics fans being like, "Oh, the Pacers came back." That was like literally a once in 1 million thing. Like that's not going to happen. It wasn't going to happen for the Celtics. That's insane to say. Oh, it's not over because this thing that like literally the win expectancy charts didn't even consider as a possibility happened. Like you can't say that. Well, that could have happened. The Pacers can't even say that could have happened. I know what happened. They can't say like, "Oh, down 9 means the game's not over," with a minute and a half left, because it's never going to happen again. Anyway,
no, it's not. ZMR 33 has Hallie as a team and a coach around him that maximizes his strengths. JB only has Cat consistently to help him out. That is. I think there's some truth to it. I still think the Knicks are more losing than necessarily like Indiana's like beating them. I know I don't really know how to like.
I agree with you, but it's like tough to say because you sound like a sore loser. But
right, and I'm not really trying to say it like in a sore loser way because like Indiana's doing exactly what they need to do because like it's basically the Knicks. I think this is just the inverse of the Celtics series, more or less. It's ultimately the Knicks are playing their style of like basketball that they did throughout the season and not recognizing it's not working in the immediate, like in the present. So you need to change and adapt. And the Pacers just like, shit, okay, they're being dumb, so let's just play smart and we'll win this series. And that's what they're doing. They're playing smart and they're winning their series. And like that's what they're doing. I think it's an inverse of the Celtics. We saw it. Like the parallels are there. It took, instead of 2 comeback victories to break the Celtics, it was 1 comeback victory, which was even a more shocking version of it because it was so quick and immediate. So that's what we're kind of seeing. I see like this team, or specifically Thibodeau, being very, very stubborn, very rigid in his ideals, and it's just ultimately like this. This is how we play. This is how we got here this far, and we're going to keep doing it no matter if the president and everything else like that's in front of me says otherwise. And it's really fucking frustrating to watch.
Yeah, I think you're right. I mean, the Pacers have played really well. I'm like legitimately not. I hate them, so I want to take everything. I wish I could say the Knicks are like only losing the series. The Pacers have done nothing. I really do, because Halliburton makes me so angry.
But you can't say that. You can't say that.
Like they've played really well. Like they've done what they, like you said, they have had a game plan and they've executed it pretty perfectly. Basically, the only time they didn't execute it, well, twice, right? 2 periods during the series. The first, or I would say the second and third quarters of game 1, maybe even like the first half of the
quarter, that's fair,
right? And then the second half of mostly, really, even the last 18 minutes of game 2.
Game 3. Game 3.
Yeah. Other than that, they've had it like that's. So we're gonna smush those together and say it's what, 5 quarters ish, where they like haven't executed their game plan. And look, the Knicks have taken full advantage when they haven't. But we're 4 games in. There have been 16 quarters, and for the other 11 quarters, really 17 because there was an overtime in game 1. For the other 11 point, 11 and 5/12 quarters, whatever. The Pacers have executed their game plan perfectly, and the Knicks, I don't know what else there is to say. Like they have not. I mean, you can read this Neo Schmidt comment.
Yeah, Neo Schmidt has big differences fighting over screens and setting screens for both teams. I do think the Knicks are genuinely trying to set screens. Naismith is just playing. He is just hitting the spot. He's just hitting that corner and hitting the spot right before the screen is set. Like as best as you could do. So like he should just get the credit for doing it. So I don't want to like try to discourage the Knicks for setting screens. They're still at the best screens. But yeah, like the Knicks, they're not just not fighting over screens. They don't know if they're fighting or if they're switching. There was just a complete lack of communication.
Getting lost. Yeah.
We've seen Hart and Brunson miscommunicate. We've seen Hart and Mitch miscommunicate. We've seen Hart get beat backdoor on like different types of stuff, right? Like it's tough. I will say like the Knicks are not getting over screens that type of well. I just think the Pacers are. It's really that. I'll give them credit. Nesmith is still fouling the shit out of Brunson as he dribbles the ball up the court, and as he's going for layups and all that sort of stuff. He is though navigating screens. I think masterfully, and I really don't want to give him credit, but I think he's doing a fantastic job there. He's fouling them every time.
But here's what I'll say about that. It is true that I don't understand why Nesmith has rules that don't apply. Like the rules just straight up don't apply to him on defense for some reason. And it's very annoying to listen to Van Gundy and Miller. I'm not surprised by Miller, but the two of them never acknowledge that like it's really weird that Nesmith plays perfect defense on Brunson. Yeah, because he fouls him every time. Like it's crazy how often he fouls him. I mean, he hasn't once gotten it called in 4 games. What is happening? What did Aaron Nesmith do? He's not like known as an all-world defender where he should get the benefit.
You know what it is? I'll tell you what it is. They're rewarding him for his screen navigation. They're like, he's playing great defense, right? Yeah. So that's what it is. They're like, he's getting the benefit out for his screen defense. But like, Perez mentioned this also earlier in the day, and I think I was talking to him about it in our Discord. It's the same thing with like what Shai Gilgeous was kind of going on. It's like the two are being kind of like lumped, like with the officiating and everything.
Yep.
We actually saw Towns get the benefit of this. Perez is like the game is officiated differently when you're basically within like the 3-point line to 18, the free throw line, kind of like that 24 to 18 foot range.
Yeah.
And there's just a different set of calls between in the long-ish mid-range and then the short mid-range in the paint. It's just a different, there's a different type of action where the refs are getting the calls. Shea knows how to perfectly execute those specific things where he knows where the contact's coming. He knows he beat the defensive player to the spot, and he sells it because the referees reward selling you. Like they reward flopping. So we kind of see those things. When you see Towns doesn't get the call because you're effectively allowed to maul the player anywhere on the court.
Right,
except for like
6, or even
basically from like at the rim to the foul line foul line, and then from basically everywhere from back court to the front court. And it's what you're allowed to do. Like Towns gets hit every single time. Everyone is taught, I thought at least, to not play defense with your hands. You're not allowed to prevent those people from using your hands and playing defense with their hands. But the NBA allows you to play with your hands unless you're taking a mid-range shot. Towns actually got a foul on a mid-range shot, and he went to the line. He got a shooting foul on a mid-range shot, and it's kind of bizarre to see the rules in the league interpret things that way. It's just something I noticed that Prez and I were just talking about it. It's a different game being officiated right now.
No, that's a really
like Prez has got it, and then I saw it today, where like if you're going into the rim, it's Indiana gets hacked too, right? Like refs just don't call shooting fouls in the paint. I don't know why. I don't know why that they don't call fouls anymore when Cat is posted on someone smaller. Like Mathurin was allowed to hack him the entire time, and he doesn't get a call. I don't know why.
Like the thing is, I get it in part because you don't want Cat really is getting hit every time down, and frankly, we see replays and like the Knicks are hitting Turner pretty much every time down there too, right?
Agreed.
Like,
that's what I'm saying. Like,
but you don't want. Look, it's not fun. We were talking about this earlier with the fouling of 3. Nobody wants to see Cat and Miles Turner at the line 400 times a game every game. Like, that's not fun. So I get that. However, when it's something so egregious that like Cat can't even get the shot up, you have to call that foul. Like if you have Mathurin like wrapping him up and he literally can't release the ball, you can't say good defense. Like that's because it was within 3 feet of the rim. Like that's not reasonable. He has to be allowed to play basketball, So there has to be some kind of happy medium. My counterpoint to that is these offensive fouls are getting called on Cat. Look, are where he's hooking people, but they're hooking him first. Are they offensive fouls? No, they shouldn't be. However, Cat's an idiot, and he needs to stop.
He really is an idiot. He needs to stop.
Like, Alex got mad at me when I said this in game chat. He was like, what's Cat supposed to do? He's trying to catch the ball. He's supposed to not blatantly go like back like this when like it's not an offensive foul. I get why he's mad, but they're calling it. Stop doing it.
It's clear Towns is retaliating, right? Because he is mad that he's not getting the foul call.
Right.
We know he's getting fouled. We all know it. It sucks. I know it sucks. It's got to be super frustrating. You can't be like, I'm gonna foul him now.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah,
like I'm gonna foul him now because I'm angry and I'm throwing a tantrum. Right. No, you have to unfortunately suck it up. It sucks. I feel you, but like no, like you said, you're getting paid a shit ton of money, man. Like
and even if he wasn't, like I don't want to see that from Deuce either. Not that he's doing that, but just to give you an example of someone who's not getting paid a lot. Like it doesn't have anything to do with the money. It was just like to drive home the point. But they're not. Like I said, I agree that shouldn't be an offensive foul, but the fact is they're calling it, and so you have to stop doing it. You can't you can't be like, fuck you, I'm going to keep doing it, and then get mad when you call it on me. They're calling it. All the refs are calling it, not just tonight. They called it in game 3 once too. They called it. I'm pretty sure they called it at least one other time in the series. You just can't. I don't care if it's a legal move and that he's getting screwed. Like you can't. By the way, same thing with Brunson. I'm really sick of people being like, yes, Neesmith's hitting him constantly. They're not calling it. I don't like Brunson has to stop turning the ball over because he's mad they're not calling fouls.
You have to. I agree. Like it's one of those things.
It's the Eastern Conference Finals. They I'm sorry. You go home for the summer if you turn the ball over 100 times.
Yeah, you can't. You can't turn the ball over. I'm with you. I will support you, and we will. And it's crazy old Knicks fans will be here on the internet talking about how you deserve those calls. But guess what? Player,
you're not getting them.
You're not getting them. and it sucks, and I feel you, and just let the fans vent about it. Like, we get it, we know it.
Honestly, let Tibbs. He's not going to do this because he never does this. He's never done this before. But that's something Tibbs, like, if you want Tibbs to freak out and get thrown out of the game because they're hacking you on every play and like you're just taking it. Normally, but that's what annoys me is normally Brunson just deals with it. When he's getting hacked like this, he'll like grift occasionally. Like, he does get more grifty normally when he gets hacked like this and doesn't get called.
I agree. He gets very,
but that's not what he's doing in this series. He's like not getting frustrated and trying to make weird passes and turn the ball over. Like, I don't go back to grifting. That's better. Go back to grifting.
Yeah. You're gonna get like, the Indiana's gonna boo you because you did the pump fake and you get the technical, like that technical, the defense failed foul. Take it, man. It's the Eastern Conference Finals.
Well, and you know
get called a baiter at the moment.
Right. You know what's so funny to me is they're calling him a flopper, and he hasn't flopped once this whole series, which is pissing me off. Because because we all got mad at him over how in Game 2 of the Celtics series he was flopping like a lunatic, or Game 2 of the Pistons series rather. He was flopping like a lunatic to the point that like
an insane person.
Once you've got to stop, and
you got to stop. Yeah.
Right. So now his response to that has been like, well, I guess I'll just never try to grift for fouls if I'm not getting calls. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
You just do it. Like, it's dumb. I wish he like didn't have to, but if he's not getting calls, he needs to just like try to sell a foul. And that way, worst case scenario, you miss a shot and like it's out of bounds to them, but at least it's out of bounds to them. Instead, when you're doing
live ball turnover,
right? Trying to force a pass to OG or Hart or whoever, it's a live ball turnover, and now the Pacers are going back. Like, I just don't. This is not the series to be doing this during. You know,
I agree.
Like, they've got two guys on you, and one of them needs to punch you in the stomach constantly, and they're not calling it. Fall over.
Yeah. Start doing something.
Hold the ball, fall over and scream, right? And like, worst case scenario, it's a jump ball.
Travis Mackey asks, would you guys consider this season a success if they lose the series in 5? I mean, look, they made to the Eastern Conference Finals.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's just going to be annoying.
It's very annoying. I hate it. I'm gonna be annoyed. I'm gonna hate the Pacers. I'm gonna yell and scream and kick and be the most annoying, obnoxious Knicks fan for them losing, because like losing sucks. Everyone knows losing sucks. We all know it. It's the worst feeling ever. That's why Tibbs is like, winning is more fun than fun is. I agree, Tibbs. Like, that's the one thing I'll agree with you with. But like, look, they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, and they've had tons of memorable moments on this run. It is a success. That doesn't mean you don't learn from your mistakes. It doesn't mean you don't learn from what you need to do to improve and all that sort of stuff. Like, there is success and failure, and all this stuff is kind of wrapped in between. Listen, it sucks. I don't think they're going to lose in 5. I think we're going to get a game 3 where like Tibbs is going to like, something's going to happen where Tibbs is forced to do something out of the box. It'll work, and the Knicks will win. I think we're looking at like,
he's not going to start Deuce, but he'll do like anything else.
He's going to do something different, and he'll probably, it'll spark a win for game 5. It's probably
would not be surprised if he goes back to the original starters, because Mitch is clearly gassed. And
that wouldn't surprise me.
His response to that was leaning on the original starting lineup. So, I would not be shocked if we see the original starters next game, which frankly I'd be fine with, because they've actually kind of played better since they went away from it, which maybe you could say is in part because they're not starting with that group. So the Pacers have like kind of not in their perfect set lineup when.
I agree. That's what I think it is. I think the Pacers are good against the starters, specifically because of how they want to play and how they can attack Brunson. Right. And it helps them out. And I think we've all known since Josh Hart got to this team, we all love Josh Hart because we know he's the energy guy off the bench who, when he's playing well, can close out games. Like, that's why we love Josh Hart. We know he's like truly like the X factor that way. We don't want him to be like, if you're going to make him the permanent X factor, he's no longer the X factor. Like, it doesn't work.
Yeah, I mean, like, it's just, I don't want to get in. People are asking about like offseason stuff, and the series isn't over yet, so I don't.
Yeah, series not over yet,
and I don't want to get. And like the other thing I'll say is, if they lose on Thursday or Saturday or Monday, I don't think we should get into offseason stuff. Whoever's on post game then either, because like we have 700 pod Stricklands to do. I'll come on. If you want to hear my opinions, I'll come on Takes from Obvious Bozos after the season ends. And
we'll handle all your
you and Zach can lay out what we think they should do in the offseason. But the one thing I'll say is, like, if this is going to be such a problem and they're not going to fire Tibbs, you maybe have to trade Hart, which, like, sucks because I really like him. But
yeah,
you have to take, like, this is like, I know you don't watch baseball anymore, but like when you have, they do, like, Yankees fans do this with Boone all the time, Mets fans do it with their managers. Like, they say, like, you've got to take away his toys, right? Even if like it's a player you like. And like, I like Josh Hart. He's played shitty most of the series. It happens. Like, it's not a good matchup for him probably. But again, I blame Tibbs for not taking him out. Like, yes, he should play better, but at some point,
he needs to play better because they need him to play to win this.
Because he also is just going to play, so he needs to play better. But like, it gets to the point where I'm like, how can I blame him for, like, yeah, I can blame him for not playing well, but like, you can only blame him so much for not playing well. It's like, it's facially obvious that Josh Hart needs to play better. What is also obvious, but I think is a more important thing to talk about, is the fact that Tibbs needs to sit him, and he's not. And so, like, if he's going to act like this, you have to take his toy away.
Josh played just literally, when I say just under 36 minutes, it's 35-59.
And he would have played 3 more if he didn't foul out.
He would have played the rest of the game if he didn't foul out. You gotta look at minimum, and then you have like Deuce at 14.5. Like, Deuce has to be 20 plus, and Josh needs to be closer to 30 than Deuce. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he needs to be closer to 30, and Deuce needs to be close. Like you gotta bridge that gap in this series. You need that front line defense that no one is giving you in the starting lineup. Like, McHale's not giving you that, OG's not giving you that, and Hart's not giving you that. And obviously Town and Brunson aren't like pointed at that guys, right? Like, you need
I don't totally know what to do about that, because like that, I mean, I know what to do about Towns and Brunson, which is just you have to deal with it and figure out how to deal with it. But McHale and OG are like, they acquired them because they're supposed to be 2 of the best wing defenders in the NBA. And like, OG has been inconsistent, and McHale has been more than inconsistent. Like, he's been bordering on bad. OG's had some bad games too, but like, more often than not, OG's been good. He's been bad on Siakam, and that's annoying. But like, I just don't. And Hart used to be a good defender. I don't know what the hell has happened to him this year, but he was like kind of bad all year on defense, and it just hit itself until the playoffs. But that could also be like, he played most of last season on the bench, obviously, and then didn't start until close to the end of the season, and then into the playoffs because of all the injuries. But he was probably fresher because Tibbs was not playing Josh Hart 37 minutes off the bench last year.
No,
he was playing him, and we kind of often thought it was too much last year when he was playing him 28 minutes off the bench. But like, that's kind of the sweet spot for what you want from him. 25.
Yeah, that's what it seems. That seems to be the sweet spot now. Now that we see him like maxed out, now we go, oh, like, him being the wild card at 28 is significantly better for this team than him being a wild card at 36-40.
Right. Yeah.
ZMR33 this could be a 2-part thing. So, thing is, if Hallie struggles, does that cause the rest of it need to fall apart? I may be wrong, but has Hallie had a truly bad game this series? I asked because the wings have been iffy on D at best. Hart, OG, and Bridges can't guard Pascal or Hallie consistently enough to stir together enough stops. I do think this is part of it. I think, right, like, the Pacers struggle when their initial action can't be executed. And none of these 3 guys have been able to consistently disrupt their initial action. It has only happened when Deuce McBride and DeLon Wright have been on the court.
DeLon Wright, of all people. It's just
like, it really has been. I think it's really, unfortunately, that simple, and they need to play more. Like,
good.
I was going to say, like, I get trying Shamet because he was successful like yesterday, but like, now looking at it, you just got to be like, DeLon has to play off Shamet's minutes.
Probably, but also
he has to.
Why did Shamet come back in at the end when Hart fell down instead of Deuce? What was that?
I have no idea. That was an insane decision. Again, I think it's I can't even say the rebounding thing. I don't know.
No, because Mitch was on the floor. Yeah. Was he? No, I guess he wasn't. No, he wasn't.
No, he wasn't.
Yeah, I don't know, but you need offense. You need an offense in that scenario. So, Wait, before we get to the Jordan Bub comment, I just want to follow up on that with a different comment. So we'll go back to that Jordan Bub comment. From Etchmaster, Mikal is a 2-4 defender, can't defend the point of attack at all. Here's the problem. We were told that Mikal was a point of attack defender when they traded for him.
Yeah, like he should be able to guard Halliburton.
And he could, in Phoenix, he would, like, am I wrong? Didn't he do that in Phoenix? It's been a few years at this point, so I might be forgetting. But, like, who was guarding the point of attack on the team? It wasn't Devin Booker. It wasn't Kevin Durant. It wasn't Bradley Beal, who was, like, barely MVP.
Well, it could have been Chris Paul.
Oh, well, it couldn't have been Kevin Durant because Mikal and Kevin Durant were.
Yeah. It could have been Paul.
I guess it could have. But like Chris Paul has not. He's kind of too old to be a good defender anymore. He's really not.
I think Mikal is. Here's the thing. I think he's fine at the point of attack. You can't have fine against the Pacers.
Well, and also, again, I said this earlier, but like, why did you trade for him? Like, they traded for him apparently for the Celtics, and frankly, that worked. He played good defense against Celtics. And I know not explicitly, but also for this, because again, like, it's probably even more for Maxey than for Halliburton, because OG very clearly could not guard Maxey, and they didn't have anyone guard Maxey last year. But like Dante did fine, but like that was basically an emergency break glass in case of emergency situation where they had no choice but to put Dante and Hart on Maxey because OG couldn't guard him. So like this is what Mikal's supposed to be doing. They need to go get a different, like if Hart, and Eshmaster followed up with a comment to this effect. If Tibbs is not going to start Deuce next year, then they need to go get another point of attack defender. And the starting lineup needs to be Brunson, OG, Mikal, this guy, and Cat, right? And then the problem is like Hart is not good enough to be your third best defender. He probably needs to be your fourth best defender. And then he's a pretty good fourth best defender. But he's not good enough to be your third best defender, especially when you have two guys who, like, during the season, probably Mikal can guard the point of attack. But like the Knicks are going to make the playoffs every year, right? I don't give a shit about during the season. It's who can guard the point of attack during the playoffs, and they have nobody who can do that except Deuce. And Tibbs isn't going to play him. He's not playing him. So what do we do?
It's great.
Get Deuce platform shoes, apparently. Like that's I don't know. He has to be taller. That's the only solution, right? I mean, if Deuce
I wish I knew. So we're gonna come back to Jordan Bubs now. So like I think we could even wrap it up here, right? Like what do they have to do for the comeback? They gotta play defense, right?
They have to start Deuce. They're not going to, so let's just throw that aside. So the thing is, like after they were down, you can confirm this. After they were down 2-0, I still felt like they were going to win the series. I gotta say, like right now,
I personally didn't feel that way.
I was getting a lot of shit, frankly. I'm not trying to pat myself on the back because they lost tonight, but like I was getting a lot of shit for saying I still think they're going to
win. You stand up for yourself,
but I don't feel that way anymore because Tibbs used his bullet, which was changing the starting lineup, and it didn't work, and he's not going to do it again. He might do it again, but go back to the original, right? He's not going to go to the Deuce lineup. And it's unfortunate because I actually think even down 3-1, if they were to put Deuce in the starting lineup, they could probably rip off 3 straight wins. I
don't think it's out of the question because like Brunson could be, like a lot of these guys could be better. It's not crazy to think that, like when the Knicks were beating the Pacers, they were clearly dominating them. Yeah. And we've seen them like dominate pretty clearly when like they were just like, oh, Mitch is going to play. Oh shit, they literally have no one to stop Mitch. They're literally throwing away minutes with Tony Bradley. Oh, now we're seeing that like if they really lean on defense, the Pacers got nothing in the half court at all going for them because like the Knicks have been so good defending the first, second, third action. They're only scoring points off turnovers. So like, okay, if they clean up turnovers and play defense, they're golden. And that's when you need like Brunson to play better. That's when you need Mikal to play better. You need everyone to play better and not turn over the ball. Again, like the Villanova trio, 11 turnovers tonight. Like you're not going to win a playoff game.
My alma mater.
Oh, that's your alma mater?
I went to law school at Villanova. Yeah.
That's your alma mater then.
I was there when the guys were there. We were there at the same time.
Yeah, see what I mean? Like you can't have that.
Yeah.
It sucks. And now we're gonna go back.
I mean, so the question is what needs to happen, right? And real quick before we get into that, I just have to Jennifer Dixon with a genius idea for who we sign up as our point of attack defender. Bring back QG.
Quentin Grimes.
He's a 6'5" point of attack defender.
Jennifer's onto something.
Bring him back.
Bring him back.
Anyway,
he was lighting it up. He was lighting it up for the Sixers. They close the year.
I think Tibbs would literally set himself on fire. Anyway, let's bring back Jordan Bubb's question, and I think we can. Let's try to answer this for real, and then we can I think we can wrap up. Everyone probably wants to go to bed. So what needs to happen, right? Brunson needs to stink a little less on defense, just like 5% less on defense.
Yeah, just a smidge less.
Yeah. Also, he needs to get over the fact they're not calling fouls on Hart, on Nesmith. He just needs to get over it. So he needs to figure out a way to deal with it. Similarly, Cat, kind of the same thing, right? Like for a lot of these guys, they just have to deal with the fact that they're not getting these calls. It's really annoying. Hopefully, we're going to get, Scott Foster didn't do much extending in game 3. They won anyway, but he didn't really.
No, hold on. No, he came through. Didn't he? He prevented a call. Didn't someone challenge? Didn't he give the Knicks a good challenge result? I forget.
Oh, he did, but I think he also gave the Pacers 2 insane challenge results.
Yeah, it's true.
Anyway, so Scott Foster is normally the extender, but I don't think it can't be Foster this time.
Someone else needs to step up.
We need some. Maybe the NBA will assign a ref who's gonna call all these fouls that haven't been called.
What if it's Tony Brothers?
Let's bring in TB. Let's go.
Let's go. We need. What if we had Brothers, Foster, and
let's bring back Tim Donaghy. Let's get him off the streets. Get him in there. I'm 10 blocks away from MSG. I will walk to MSG myself on Thursday night, slip him like $300 and be like,
I would love that. One more. You got one more in you.
Send us back to Indiana, buddy. Send us back to Indiana.
One more. Just one more.
We need Nesmith to foul in the second quarter.
Oh, that would be amazing.
But anyway, so that's number one. Brunson. Well, that's not number one, but that's the first thing that comes to mind. Is Brunson and Cat need to stop getting angry about the lack of fouls and just I hate to sound like a boomer, but they have to just play through it. They have to.
Yeah. Listen, unfortunately, the boomers are right sometimes. We have to give it to them. They gave us LSD. They gave us the Beatles. You know what I mean? We got to give them some credit for some things.
It's unfortunate to say this needs to happen, but Tibbs does need to play Deuce more, even if he doesn't start him. But he's just probably not going to. So it's frustrating to say that needs to happen because I just don't see it happening. I mean, he's gone in the opposite direction. I think you're right that the issue today was that Mitch was wiped out, and so he needed Josh on the floor to rebound, and Deuce is not really going to be rebounding. But it doesn't make sense that Deuce was the one who lost minutes because of that. If you're thinking Hart is replacing Mitch, then Deuce can play his normal minutes, and it's fine.
Like I said, I didn't understand it. But...
Yeah. Also, Mitch, they probably need to go back to. Speaking of Mitch, they probably need to go back to the original starting lineup if they're not going to start Deuce, because this isn't working with Mitch starting. He's not in shape for this.
Yeah, he's clearly Tibbs can't play him like he did in game 2, 15 straight minutes.
I think he might have sapped the rest of his energy, honestly.
That's what I'm saying. He nuked it for no reason.
You might have to play him 15 minutes in game 5. Hope you win without it, and then hope he's ready for game 6. I just don't know what
it's insane what he did. The other adjustment is going to have to be whether or not the starting lineup fixes. Like you said, not only are you starting playing those guys more, I think you actually you have to play DeLon right.
Yeah.
And you have to just be we are defending the Pacers. They're not walking the ball up. They're not doing their normal shit. If we're gonna we will get back in transition no matter what. If we're not doing offensive rebounding, we're always dropping. We'll concede the offensive rebounding game. Make sure we're back, but also defending them.
They aren't going to get O-bounds anyway. They're not a good offensive rebounding team. So
you just do it that way. don't get obviously, and then you got to clean up the turnovers.
Well, yeah, that was what I was going to say. I think that this might actually be number one. The turnovers
have to be number one. They're
killing them. They're killing you've said it 100 times tonight, but it's the live ball turnovers, right? You don't obviously want to turn the ball over on a dead ball either, but like it's the live ball turnovers. Every single time the Pacers will get out in transition on those live ball turnovers and they'll score unless you get lucky and they miss a gimme. Like that's the only way they're not going to score on that because the Knicks aren't getting back in transition fast enough. So you have to just stop turning the ball over because that's not going to be fixed. The transition defense is not going to be fixed at this point. So got to stop turning the ball over. Brunson and Cat have to stop getting frustrated on offense and just play through it as much as they can. Brunson and also probably Cat have to be about, like I said, 5% better on defense. Deuce has to play more. Hart has to play less. And Mitch has to play shorter stints. And I think like those are all easy things to fix, honestly.
I think so. They have a shot. I think they do. And I think it's stuff that can clean up. Well, again, whether they're going to actually do this, I don't know at this point because we haven't seen them. We haven't seen them do it all year.
Yeah,
we really haven't. We don't see them adjust. We don't see them be like, hey, when the moment calls for something, instead of potentially pivoting, it's let's just keep doing what we're doing. And I think it's just like the Celtics who are like, let's just keep doing what we're doing, chucking threes. It's like, let's keep doing what we're doing. Just play the guys that we've played the entire season because that's what we did. I just don't like that level of stubbornness. It just frustrates me. I like almost like a fundamental human level. Like, how are you this level of stubborn?
It's irritating to watch. And look, here's what I'll say, honestly. Thursday could be the last game of the season. There's really, if they don't win, there's going to be no way to enjoy it, right? But like, they won 51 games this season. The Pistons basically tried to murder them for 6 games, and the Knicks got through it.
Survived.
They had 2 20-point comebacks against the Celtics, one against the Pacers. They had like one of the most fun games I've ever watched in Game 6 against the Celtics, where they just totally pooped on them for 48 minutes.
We could potentially see the end of the Celtics because of the Knicks.
Yeah, I think not even potentially. That team is done. Like Tatum's out for all next year, and next year was their last year with this team.
I'm just saying because I still think I hate to say it, but like Jason Tatum is a very, very good basketball player.
He's not coming back next year. It's impossible.
I know he's not coming back next year. He's going to come. I'm just saying I think he's very good.
No, I don't think they're going to be bad in 2 years. But this version of the Celtics is
the end.
Done.
Like this is.
I don't think Jaylen Brown is on that team when we see Jason Tatum again. I think they're never playing another minute.
I think that's fair. But yeah, we're looking at like they ended the Celtics, so like that's pretty cool.
So it's great, and like in a month. We'll be able to look back on this and say, how did you feel after last year? In the immediate moment, it stunk, right? But
it stunk, yeah, because like it's a Game 7. You never want to lose Game 7, but you look back and you go,
the whole team died, which was really not fun. But
this level. This is not fun in a different way, but like it's still a success.
But then you look back, and a month later, and you say that was a really fun season. Next year's going to be even better, right? How many times has Schwinn said this? This was not supposed to be the year. And look, they're down 3-1. It's probably still not going to be the year. It could. I'm gonna turn the TV on Thursday at 8:00 and expect the Knicks to win. But I'm gonna if they get to Saturday, I'm gonna do it again on Saturday. And if they get to next Monday, I have my volleyball playoffs, so I'm not gonna watch Game 7, and I really don't want to think about that right now. But I'll be checking my phone.
I missed out on my volleyball tonight to watch this disaster.
It's the playoffs. I can't skip the playoffs.
I get it. Listen, the Knicks will tell you the same thing. You got to play in the playoffs.
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, it would be honestly, it'd be kind of like the Knicks if I skip my own playoffs to watch them lose. Anyway, but if they make it to Monday, I will. Every time I am out of rotation or there's a dead ball, I will check my phone. But regardless. Expecting them to win. If the season ends, let's try our best to remember they won 51 games this year, despite the fact that they coach like a terrorist. Honestly,
there's a good chance that this silver lining maybe tips is gone.
No, he's not. Don't even. He's not. I don't care if they get blown out on Thursday. He's not gone. He got them to the Eastern Conference Finals. They beat the Celtics. It's not happening. He's coming back. But the team is going to look different next year. And yes, we knew that Hartenstein might be gone after last season. But I'm just trying to find some kind of I hope that I will be able to look back no matter what happens on Thursday or Saturday or Monday or in the finals if by some miracle they make it there. I hope we'll look back in a month and say this was still a fun season, and the players that aren't here next year, it's going to stink to not have them on the team. Some of them. Other ones I might not be so upset if they're gone. But here's what I will say though. Every time we lose in the playoffs, like Hawkeye 420 says, the first thing I think is we have to wait a whole fucking year to get back here. And, the good news is we only have to wait 2 days to get back here right now. And so hopefully the Knicks make Thursday a little happier than tonight.
Find some positivity, Hawkeye. Yeah. Hawkeye 420, go smoke some weed, touch some grass, and chill, man. We get it. We know. You'll be fine. Find some joy. That's the show. See you next time.
Yeah. Night, everybody.